Top of the day to you. Just thought I'd add this to the video real quick. Just so you know, because I did the big move, and my job has been hectic, man, for the last 3 weeks. I'll show you what I'm working on, or working with. And this is what I'm working with. You got some of the shelves, some little canned stuff up here, but yeah, all my studio, my tool rack, everything still sitting in the garage. I got to put this all together. So I think I'm going to do the studio over here. Well, AKA the maintenance wall right here. So I got to go through all this stuff and put everything away. Got my safe shoved over in the corner. Yeah, it's been something, man. It's been something. The last 3 weeks have just been chaotic, running here, running there. I'm working at 2 different properties right now, doing the supervising. One property has no maintenance, no supervisor. They've had 3 supervisors in the last year. Maintenance is just nil and void. So it has been interesting. At my home base property, it's high end. It's really nice property. The turns on it, man, are ridiculous. We do stuff at the home base property. We do stuff there that I have never even thought of. Like silly stuff. Take all the light globes down, clean them out, kind of stuff like that. We clean underneath the refrigerators, air it out, and we do all the dryer vents. It's just a bunch of weird stuff that I've never had to do. I mean, at my last property, I always cleaned underneath the refrigerators and the furnaces, but we go through a whole list of stuff. But being supervisor, it's a little bit different because I've always been used to doing like the maintenance and head over maintenance, and had guys work for me, and I just send them out to do stuff. Here, it's a lot different. The maintenance, I have a daily sheet that I have to go through and check in per day. And then there's an annual inspection, monthly inspection, weekly inspections. It's just all kinds of stuff that I'm having to do that I've never had to do before. So it's kind of stressful in a little bit, since it's just a lot more double checking everything, you know. Got to do incident reports if there's siding off the buildings and blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? It's definitely a lot of work. But I've got to find 2 maintenance guys for the south property, my home base property. I got 2 maintenance guys there that've been there for a while, so that's helpful. So when I leave one and go to the other, I don't so much worry about that one. But I've been at the other property for almost 2 weeks now. So the interesting part about it is that we rotate 1 week on, 3 weeks off on an on-call. So I'm on call for the south property all the time because there's nobody there. And then every 3rd week I have here the home base property, I'm on call there. So it gets a little chaotic. So, but the guys, they keep it running pretty smooth. So I don't have a lot of on calls. I've only had 1 on call since I've been at the home property. So, anyways, I'm just trying to keep it hush hush. I don't want it getting out where I work at anymore. I'm not doing any outside videoing. I might do some AC repairs. Their ACs are old 22s and 410s, so we're having to get rid of those. But we're just going to kind of muscle them along for probably another year to try to keep everything going. But it's going to be interesting. I'm working on getting some tools. I was able to pick up some. I'll show you real quick. Something, a new property. There's a lot of PEX. So I was able to pick up the jaws for PEX B. It's the hard lines because we use the crimp rings. I'll show it to you again. M12, the crimp rings. This is a 3/4. Anyways, so instead of using this, I call it ratchet rings. It's the little rings that have, you just use it and it pulls it. Anyways, this is I like this better, these better. It's the brass rings that you just compress down. I like those a lot better. So I got a 1/2 inch and 3/4 head for my Milwaukee. I'm looking into buying the, I'm trying to figure out which one's the best, whether it's ACR or the, what is it? I forget what the brand is, but it's the HVAC connections for the presses. I'm looking into buying those. That's about it, really, man. I'm just trying to get a feel for both properties on exactly what's the major problems. At property 1, the water heaters burn up real quick because the water is so freaking hard. And then property 2, it's just been poor maintenance. Put it this way, this is how bad the maintenance was down there. I got a call, my only on call. I got a call for a toilet leaking. And when I talked to the tenant, they said, yeah, the maintenance told me to wait 24 hours before I turn the water on. I'm like, what? I got to see this. So I get down there, and when I looked in the tank, there was caulk around the bolts, the whole, mounting bolts. And I'm like, that's not right. So I shut the water off, flushed the toilet tank, and then I didn't even look. I know I got to take the tank plate off, right? Or the tank off. So I just reached under and unscrewed the bolts, and they were kind of loose, and took the tank off and dumped the water out and set the tank down there. And I told the tenant, I said, I solved the problem for today. I'll be back tomorrow, and I'll rebuild the tank and put it back on. Didn't think anything of it. I mean, literally, I just reached underneath the tank and unbolted it, right? So my maintenance guy that was from another property, I had him run over there to rebuild the tank. I gave him all the parts. I said, just go do it. So he sends me a picture. He says, this tank doesn't fit this toilet. I'm like, what? This guy had, the tank didn't even match the toilet. The holes didn't line up, So he just set it on there and ran the bolts up to pinch the tank. And I'm like, what the? I thought the guy was lost his mind. So I go over there and look at it, and bigger than crap. The tank wasn't even the tank for that base. I'm like, what was he thinking? That's the reason why he put caulk. It wasn't even silicone, it's just caulk. So I had to tear that all out. Anyways, so it just so happens 2 days later, because we had to order a toilet because we don't have a toilet in stock. So I was in a vacant that has to be rehabbed, and there was a toilet sitting in the tub, and it's the same model. So I told my maintenance guy, I said, take that tank off, rebuild it, all new stuff, and put it on her, see if it'll line up. So he called me like an hour later, said, yep, it's all done. That tank matched, because the rehab, it's going to get a new toilet anyway. So that was just an easy, quick way of fixing stuff. It's just crazy stuff, man. Like, he got a hold of a faucet, the tub faucet, one of those big Subcos or whatever. I forget what the name of it is. Anyways, and try to wrench the ring off that holds the faucet together, and bent the freaking thing in the wall. Just so happens, because it's on PEX, he only bent the shower and the spout, just barely bent them. So I was able to rebuild that, put it all back together. But yeah, you got to watch maintenance guys, man. They'll get you hacked, bro. They do some hacking. But anyways, so just a little story time. So yeah, this is my shop, my garage, and it's a single car garage, but it's a long one, and I can get the van in here, no problem. So I'm going to do the wall over there. I'm going to work on that today. If I do, I'll add it to this video, like hyper mood. But yeah, I'm gonna do this up over here. I gotta get started on it. This has been 3 weeks going, so cool. Let's get something done, man. See you. So if you guys ever have a door that you gotta install, this is the easiest way that I've found it. This is a brand new door. It's not been cut, no hinges. The hinges are already in the frame, and I have a little airbag. The reason why I use the airbag instead of a jack, because it's easier to move around, number one. Number two, I can put my foot on it and raise it up to where I want it, which is right there. And then I'll put a piece of tape here and mark where the hinge is. I'm good to go. So I'm marked with a pencil on the door where the hinge is, on top and bottom, and now I can take the door off and set the hinges. The reason for the tape is so I can pull the tape back off and I don't have to worry about the pencil mark on the door. That's just the way I do things. Anyways, got another one to do. That was the little bathroom. The same thing, but I'll have to cut off about a 1/2 inch off the bottom because it rubs the carpet, just brand new carpet, so. Cool, good time, man. Let's do it. Always make sure you put your hinge on there the right way. I've screwed this up enough times in my day. I usually just lay it down there, and you have your layers. So you got your outer layer, inner layer, and outer layer, right? So you always want to come about 1/8 inch off of that layer so that you don't over cut. Because if you sink the hinge in too far, it just looks funny. But if you sink it in too shallow, meaning this way, then the door hits the frame before the hinge shuts. So you end up with a cockeyed door. So anyways, give me a visual there. So I got my mark at the top. I set that there, and I use my fingers on the back to hold it for the depth wise, so I'm not in too far. And mark it around, try to get it as straight as you can. It's an apartment door, man. We're not in the high end, so there. Now I just gotta route that out. Cool? They make a jig for this, but I've got enough tools. I'm used to doing it the old fashioned way. I just hold it. So I use it. I do it backwards. That way I can see this line. It just makes it easier on me. This router here is a lot quieter than my old one. It's got a light on it too. So what I did was I forgot that I just set the latch part of the door. Just as it started digging, I realized that I almost messed up. Because if you set the hinge too deep, the door will catch the frame before the hinge does, and then it'll pull the hinge right out. So I usually just set it on there and get my depth just about the same. I don't want this to be proud, which means sticking out. So best I can. Cool. Let's try that again. Looks pretty good. Sits in there. I like them a little tight. Perfect. On to the next thing. Let's figure out where the sound's coming from. There. Fan blades hit.
A lot of times you can push the blade back just a hair. You know? Yep, that'll work. I think that motor's gone. I think that motor's about ready to go out. It is what it is, man. I'll get another motor for it. The reason why I went ahead and put it back together is because I will have to go steal that part off a vacant. I know there's a couple of vacants I can steal parts off of. I'll take care of that later next week. Because there's no telling if I'm gonna be here next week. I'm bouncing around at other properties. It's owned by the same people, but I'm just bouncing around fixing stuff. Supervisor, looks like I'm gonna be the supervisor for 2 properties. They're gonna hire 2 maintenance guys for here. Apparently they can't keep a maintenance supervisor here, so here I am. Let's go fix something, man.
Tell them who you are if you're living in the movement. You wanna praise God.